we do have Mort O'Sullivan. Mort, thank you so very much. I know you're in, I believe, an economic conference dinner out of town. You're president of the Pensacola Area Chamber of Commerce, and we were talking about your leadership in actually talking about the sewage treatment plant and your leadership in developing the financing to get rid of it, and the fact that it is just a bad memory in the process of going goodbye. Ed Spears is on the phone with me here. We also have Charlotte Brown in the studio, the lady who wrote Rise Up Pensacola, You're Destined for Greatness. And now I've got you, Mort. Thank you so very much. I know you're busy, but I appreciate you calling in.
Glad to be here with you.
All right, Mort, we were talking about the Community Maritime Park. We've still got everything is still proceeding. We're getting rid of the sewage treatment plant. Could you give us, first of all, a little preface? I'd like to go ahead and just let you speak your mind about the Community Maritime Park. And then, folks, I guess I'm going to let Mort handle this because he's much more delicate and diplomatic than I am. But we do want to let you know about something else that is very, very important about the personal commitment that is being made to this park. So, Mort, how would you describe where we're at on the Community Maritime Park today?
I'm at a disadvantage having just dialed in, not knowing what Ed may have already covered in his comments.
Nothing at all. We just talked about moving the sewage treatment plant. I waited till you got here before I brought the Maritime Park up.
As the listeners know, the referendum was a little over a year ago, and within a month or two after that, the full board was selected and seated and has begun their work. The board's been operating on basically two current simultaneous paths. There is a big effort that has now come to a conclusion on the design criteria for the property. The board made the decision some time ago that they're looking at putting out bids to a master developer who would be taking on both the construction of the public space and the private opportunity for private development. And that needs to be done under guidelines established by the board, and that's what the design criteria team was hired for. That design criteria team is now helping in assisting the development of the RFP to go out to the 4 finalists that we now have for master developers. And we expect that will go out in the next 30 to 60 days. And then the selection process, the grading and evaluation of their responses takes place over the end of this calendar year and into the beginning of 2008. Some negotiation time with a final selected firm. And meanwhile, on a parallel track, there's been a good bit of work being done on environmental permitting. And that's been going on for 6 months or more. We hear good remarks from the regulatory bodies about our applications, and we hope that on a parallel track, those permits come in the springtime at about the same time the master developer negotiations have concluded, and then the board begins the serious work of overseeing and watching the turning of dirt and maybe the beginning of the site work sometime in the middle of 2008.
All right. Well, then let me. I'm going to go ahead and approach this, I guess, in my typical direct manner, and forgive me for being quite so direct, but I'm going to do it anyway in this circumstance here. One of the things that the negative people that we have got running around in our community here have said is Quint Studer has made particular obligations and promises to this park as far as investments that he's willing to make, as far as disposition of monies and profits, and as far as selling off properties that such as the ball team or something like that. He has made promises, and what we have heard back is, oh yeah, well, being desperate as they are, what if Quint dies? Then we're all going to be left holding the bag. Well, folks, you're about ready to hear that has as much credibility as does anybody who tells you the sewage treatment plant is going to have an adverse effect on. In other words, the treatment plant's gone. And today, I'm very privileged to have Mort O'Sullivan come on the air, because anybody who tells you the city's going to get left, you, the city people, taxpayers, are going to get left holding the bag if something happens to Quint Studer's life, God forbid. But if it did, Mort, how has Quint Studer made sure that the people of our area are fully and completely protected in the event of his death?
The commitments that Quint has made go on top of what he's already put forth and expended to have this project come to where it is today. in all of the developmental studies and research done to present to council and get approval, and the development of and the time and cost of developing the contracts was paid by Quint, and a major contributor in the referendum campaign. But that's all behind us. The issue is, what about the commitments Quint has made for the future? And I'm going to summarize those. There is a pledge of $2.25 million as a contribution to the Maritime Museum. The University of West Florida, it will be the owner of that, and the foundation at the university is gathering the funds. The target price and construction cost for what's going to be a glorious grand museum is $18 million. Because it's state-owned by the university, private money of $9 million can be matched by $9 million from the state legislature under the Cortellis matching program. They are well on their way. There's another contribution announcement hoped for in the next 30 days, and they'll be between $5 and $6 million at this point. Quint's portion of that is $2.25 million. The next commitment that he made was that all of the profits from the baseball activity in the multi-use facility revert or go to the CMPA board. Basically, Quint had an intent that this project be done without any profit potential to him, to remove that concern, and pledged all the profits of the baseball team, and as long as it's here and he owns it, that goes to the Maritime Park board. And when the concern came up that there's not really any assurance of what level that profit might be, Quint stepped forward and pledged that for the first 5 years he would commit a minimum of $250,000 a year that would be paid by the team to the CMPA board. Well, 5 years of that commitment is $1,250,000. And then finally, the Pelicans will be executing a use agreement for the multi-use facility for 10 seasons or 10 years at $175,000 a year, and over 10 years, that's $1,750,000. If you add those three together, the pledge for the contribution to the Maritime Museum, the minimum profit level commitment for the first 5 years going to CMPA board, and then the rent income under the use agreement is another $1,750,000. That totals $5.25 million committed by Quint Studer or companies affiliated with him. And that's what the concern was. What if the good Lord came and Quint's days on earth were over and he's gone? What would we do? And so what was agreed to was that a special trust would be formed. I'm going to serve as the trustee, and that trust commits or obligates Quint to fund the premium cost, the life insurance premium payments each year for life insurance sufficient to cover what these commitments are. And so what we've done is the trust agreement was submitted to the board, CMPA board, for their approval. The city attorney reviewed this same agreement, and all parties have agreed that it is perfectly acceptable and does what it's designed. It's laid out in writing to do what everybody wants done. And then, of course, the final act was that the insurance application was done. I'm happy to report to you that Quint's in excellent health, and the insurance company is willing to write insurance. Last week, about approximately $64,000 in premium dollars, a check was forwarded to the insurance company for the first-year premium on $6 million of life insurance. Now, that $6 million is more than the $5.25, but we purposely did that again as an excess cushion. And then as the 10 years go by, Quint will be meeting his obligations. The earliest satisfaction would be the contribution of the $2.25 to the Maritime Museum, hoped for in the next year or so. And then beyond that, the first 5 years of profits, $250,000 a year, and then over the 10-year period, the lease on the multi-use facility.